What's going on YouTube? I'm back with another video, and this video is going to be about my experience with VR in Star Citizen. Before I get into the gameplay of Star Citizen in VR, I'm going to go over my Pimax settings and my in-game settings. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, I'm going to cover my Pimax settings. We're going to start with the device settings. I am using Pimax Play 2.0. Going to the device settings. This settings layout will look different from yours if you're not using Pimax 2.0. Under the device tab, we are only going to take a look at the IPD adjustment. For this setting, I downloaded an app called iMeasure from the Apple Store, and I use it to measure my eyes, and I came up with this number. I am using eye tracking. If you are going to use eye tracking, I recommend you calibrate it. For the display settings, my brightness is set to 80. What I recommend is you have the brightness settings all the way up to 100, and as you play the game, if it's too bright, turn these settings down before you change any in-game settings, and use this setting to get your brightness to where you want it. For the refresh rate, I am using 90 Hertz. The next tab is a general tab. In this tab, the OpenXR runtime I have set to Pimax OpenXR. And the only other setting I changed under this tab is the headset sleep. I increased it to 5 minutes from whatever the default was. Under the image performance tab, we're going to start with the image quality. Mine is set to custom, and I have mine set to 80. Depending on your hardware settings, you're going to want to choose either low, medium, or high. But if you want to just play with the numbers, you can start off at medium, which sets it to 75. And if you think you can get better quality and still maintain good frames, then you can raise it up here. I have mine set to 80. Quad view is off. It doesn't work with Star Citizen, so I've heard. Set to rendering, I have also set to quality. I am prioritizing quality over performance. I'm currently getting decent to good frames with these settings, so I'm hoping that once CIG and Pimax fine-tune things, the performance gets better. GPU scaling, I have it set to none. The sharpness settings is a preference. I recommend you start from 1.0 and tune your sharpness based on your visual preference. Mine is 0.8. I do have smart smoothing enabled, and those are the only settings I need to change for the image performance. Let me get into the game and show you my in-game settings. I'm just cruising around Microtech in VR, looking for harvestables to turn in for my rare rep.
Engines are off. Auto drive is now on. Auto drive is now off.
So we're gonna sit here in the middle of space and go over these settings.
Jake Brogan from Shubin here. Glad to see you picked up another contract. Let's use the PAT approach. Preparation, action, and thoroughness. Good luck.
Now that Jake Brogan from Shubin is done talking, let's go over my settings, my in-game settings. Okay, for the game settings, this is all personal preference. There's nothing you really need to do here that relates to VR. The graphic settings, obviously, you have to use Vulkan. I have my resolution set to my native monitor, which is 4K. Windowed mode between full screen and borderless. Full screen seems to give me a few more frames than borderless, so I have it on full screen. VSync off, quality at 66%. NVIDIA DLSS, using the transformer for upscaling. And I set my quality to ultra. I want to offload as much as I possibly can onto my GPU. Then Star Citizen is very CPU intensive. Out of the 23 gigabytes I have on my GPU, I'm only using 13 with my settings set to ultra and my VR headset set to 0.8. So those are the only settings that we have to. So the graphics tab is basically about your settings, and I'm using ultra. Audio, personal preference, controls. This is all your controller setup. Keybinds, all right. Comms, FOIC, and VR head tracking. It goes without saying, VR must be enabled. Theater mode, what it does, it makes you look, it takes you out of VR and puts you like in a big theater. And these two settings, the scale and the distance, will determine how close you are to the screen, essentially. If you want to be sitting in the middle of the theater on a front row, you make the scale bigger and shrink the distance. If you like to be in the back of the movie theater, then you shrink the scale and decrease the distance. I don't know what automatic switching does. I left that to no. The IPD setting, I left it at 1.0. That's the default. The monitor mirror mode. So this determines what you guys are seeing right now. I have it set to fill to right eye. And if I change it to both eyes, I'm just gonna fly around. Let me complete this jump to Microtech. You should be, actually, don't stay here. You should be seeing essentially two screens or two recordings. One that mimics the left eye, one mimics the right. This thing is hard to slow down in space. Slow enough.
Hey, it's Shubin. Crack a code on me for a job well done. Payment should be sent. Give a holler if it isn't, okay?
Okay, I don't know why my other button didn't work, but you know, you're seeing two screens, and if I ADS, you're probably seeing the reticle on the right eye, because I'll show you that setting in a setting, and I don't know what the left eye looks like, but that's with both eyes set. Go back to the right eye. Actor control mode, stable image. There's a ground look stable image or direct offset, easier to play. Actor mode, actor control mode. Actor control mode, ADS direct offset. I have that set to no. My FPS ADS dominant eye, I have it set to my right eye. And recenter on FPS ADS, I have it set to yes. When you are not looking straight ahead in your ADS, it will always bring the gun to your face.
Picked up another contract. Let's use the
So if I'm looking over my left shoulder,
preparation, action, and thoroughness. Good luck.
and I pull my gun out on the ADS, it's going to pull it to my face. So, but the thing about that is now my gun is over here. I gotta reset it though, or hit my recenter button. So, in practice, I'm always looking ahead before ADS. I don't want to be looking over here than ADS. I would rather just turn this way than ADS. Now let's get through the rest of these settings. Vehicle HUD projection distance. I haven't messed with this. I just left it as default. Visor lens enabled. Yes. That turns off and on what you see within your visor lens. So there's nothing here. So that's what that setting turns off and on. There is a key button where you can turn this off and on. So depth of field. So that's a yes. I never even tried this at no. So maybe it will make everything look flat as it normally would when I'm not in VR. Well, yeah, it kind of does make everything look flat. So maybe I'll just leave that there. I never messed with it before. Now, visor lens aspect monitor and visor lens scale, visor lens distance. So what the visor lens enable turned off, I'm not sure if you can see it, but the mission in the top right, my ship info in the top left, my energy and hydration stats in the bottom left, and my keybind shortcut notifications in the bottom right. Those three settings will determine how close and how spread out they are in your vision. So you're just gonna have to play with them to get them to a distance that you like to see. These are my settings. The aspect monitor 10, 1 for the scale, and the distance at 35. And the height at 49. What the height does is separates the top from the bottom. And the UI scale, distance and height, again, this is all personal preference, but when you go into your menu or your inventory, these settings will determine what they look like. Keybinds that you must set. I have them on my flight sticks. I didn't even set them on my mouse and keyboard, but the camera advanced controls, the quick keys interactions, the VoIP and head tracking. These keybinds that you must hit. You can turn your VR off. All that does is freezes your screen. Recenter device. So if your character head is not on his body or is way above, or he's sunk down into his body, the recenter device would recenter your head on top of the body where it should be. If VR is getting a bit much for you, like whenever you're looking around and it's too, and it just get a little bit overwhelming, you can toggle theater mode, which will then, as I mentioned before, put you as if you are in a theater. And the visor toggle on and off, that turns on and off all of the icons on your screen and your visor HUD. So if I toggle that off, I can just see what's directly physical in front of me. I have no input for my velocity indicator or anything else. At times when the information on the screen becomes a bit overwhelming, you can use that to give your eyes a break. And those are the primary keybinds for head tracking in VR that you have to have set. I don't even know if, let's take a look and see if there are any default keybinds for those. Yes, they are. Numpad / numpad 5, left alt numpad 5. So there are default keybinds already set. You just want to take note of these if you're not using any sticks, or change them to your preference. Yeah, so those are my in-game settings.
I'm looking forward to more VR experiences in Star Citizen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.